We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's Rebirthing Program, as well as Jamila Sense, and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Hey everyone, welcome again to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am Professor Jamila Franklin, and I am the host and the creator and the founder of Gray Lives on the Rise. And tonight we have the wonderful, beautiful Darylle Dennis, who's going to impart nuggets of wisdom tonight with us. And so it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
All of our episodes are just amazing. So she has now been added to the Gray Lives on the Rise family. So before we get started, I'm going to give you some information about who I am and how we started this. My name is Professor Jamila Franklin, and as I said, I am the host, the creator, and the founder of Gray Lives on the Rise. It came about 3 years ago. Can you imagine? We started this about 3 years ago. And I had no idea that it would grow this way, and it has grown by leaps and bounds. But it came about because I was walking. I love exercising. I was a walking enthusiast, and I was walking, and this information just came into my crown chakra that said, there's nothing out there that deals with the issues of people who are 50 plus except AARP and Medicare. I said, I thought about it, and I said, that's true. And then all of the information just started coming into my third eye, into my crown chakra. And the information was like, you need to come up with a name for this because it's a movement. You need to have products. You need to have a store, and you need to have a podcast. I said, wow, okay. So it came up with several names. The first one was Gray Lives Matter, and I said, no, that's overused. And then Gray Lives on the Rise came into my cranium, and I said, wow, I like that. We're on the rise, and lives rhymes with rise. And I said, okay. And then we need to see how we're going to basically talk about ourselves differently. We're not elderly, we're not over the hill, we're not decrepit, we're none of those negative things that people tend to put on people who are 50 plus. And I said, we are seasoned, we are mature, we're golden, we're full of life, and we're vibrant. So it's okay, I have that down. And then the next thing was, you need to have a store, and that's what I have here on my Gray Lives on the Rise shirt.
Gotta get one of those.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so Darylle has ordered her merchandise, and it's going to arrive. And when it arrives, she's going to take a picture, and we're going to put it on our Facebook page. But in the meantime, we have mugs, we have t-shirts like what I'm wearing, we have hoodies, we have mats, we have totes, we have an array of things. And you can go to our website that I'm going to give you, and you will find all of our wonderful products, and you should order one because we're a movement. And the last thing that came was the podcast. And in my creating the podcast, I talked to people from around the world, both men and women of all races and ethnicities and religions. I've had people on who have been from Serbia,
the United Arab Emirates, the UK, Canada, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Australia, Costa Rica, Haiti, the Philippines, Jamaica, and of course, America. So, and they were all amazing. And each person brought to my audience his or her own experiences and concerns as a person who's 50 plus. So this is a platform to give people who are 50 plus their time to talk about what is near and dear to their hearts, be it services, be it products, or just be it their philosophy, anything like that. This is the platform for them. And it's, like I said, it's global. So having said that, we have to pay for this. So one of my companies, Jamila Sense, underwrites this. So this is one of my favorite products. And Peace Be Still. All of my products are made by me. They're all natural. And you see how clear it is?
Nice. Oh,
No
nice.
toxic ingredients. I'm a certified aromatherapist, a college professor, a Reiki master, a certified metaphysician, an award-winning author, and a holistic life coach, and a therapist that specializes in healing ancestral trauma. And no one is doing the program like me because I created it, and I haven't really shared it with people except people who are clients. It is amazing. You have to go to the website to find out more about all of these services and products. But with the Jamila system, you just put a few drops like I did, and you put it in your hands. Oh, gosh. And you breathe it in. Peace Be Still gets rid of stress, anxiety, depression, ADHD, hyperactivity within children, sinus congestion, sinus headaches, migraine headaches, anything that's a stressor. It gets rid of the stress from the body with no negative side effects. Put it in your hands, you breathe it, you put it on your arms, and it also gets rid of flies and mosquitoes. So after you put it on, you feel like you're in Zen. You're just like, nothing frustrates you, nothing bothers you. And so, having given you that information, go to our website, oyendeenterprises.com. OYIN like a neighbor, D like a dog, E, enterprises, ENTERPRISES.com. Again, that's Oyende Enterprises, OYINDE Enterprises, ENTERPRISES.com. And you will see my companies, Jamila's Sense, Oyende Institute, and Gray Lives on the Rise. That's the latest baby. So click on Gray Lives on the Rise. You'll find out all about us. And if you're interested in being a speaker, just fill out the form for a discovery call, and we can take it from there. So now, having given you that information about how we got started, we're going to bring in the lovely Darylle Dennis.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And hello to all the people that tune into you. I'm knocked out by Great Lives on the Rise. Oh my God, it's amazing. Yeah, pretty excited.
I'm going to give them some background information about you. Okay. Darylle Dennis is an author, international speaker, educator, and former commercial banking professional whose life's work centers on awakening people to the extraordinary power of their own consciousness. After a successful career in commercial banking and 21 years as a seminar provider specializing in business development, Darylle expanded her work into teaching and speaking internationally about human potential, conscious living, and the inherent strengths and value within every individual. Darylle is the author of RECEIVABILITY, which is raising our ability to allow in the dreams and goals desired to manifest, and quantum living, which is another one of her books, moving at the speed of life, which is the subtitle for quantum living, which is a guide on living intuitively. Her message is especially meaningful in this time of profound change. Our value does not diminish with age. It can deepen through wisdom, experience, self-awareness, and a greater understanding of who we truly are created to be. Darylle believes that every human being comes into this life with purpose, and there is no expiration date on discovering, expressing, or fulfilling the mission we came here to accomplish. Her work invites people to awaken to their inner wisdom, recognize their value, and consciously participate in creating a more meaningful life and a more compassionate world.
Yes.
So without further ado,
Thank you. Yes.
welcome, Darylle. So
Thank you so much, Jamila. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I am so excited about having you here with us today. And let's do a deep dive into Darylle. So, where are you originally from? And a little bit about your experiences growing up.
So let's see. So I was born and raised in the San Fernando Valley of Southern California in Los Angeles. You've heard of the Valley Girl
Oh, yeah.
over the course. Oh my God, like I'm so sure, like that. So I came from that area right in the heart of that. So it was and it became kind of a phenomenon when a song was done by, I forget the singer, and his daughter's name was Moonfry, and because they were in Southern California. And so suddenly from New York, and she kept coming home to her dad and saying, I can't remember the singer's name, but she came home to her dad and said, these people talk so funny here. So he went, what do you mean? She went, I can't even describe it. So then he said, take this tape recorder and have the tape recorder on the lunch desk, on the table where people are talking, just let him talk. And then then she played it when she came home. And then what happened is they created that song, The Valley Girl. And so then everyone thought that was cool. It wasn't cool anywhere until that song came out. So anyway, I grew up in a family, small, I had two brothers, and our parents owned first of all, like a little cafe, maybe only a counter kind of thing like that, and then got a restaurant that we all grew up in, and that was in like what looked like a Denny's, yellow plastic lights and vinyl, orange, exactly like Denny's. And so we grew up there. And so we became very clear. My dad made it very clear that the reason you have the school you have and the clothes you have and the shelter over your head is because of the customers coming in. And without them, we don't have those things. So we honored that. And then I took that into commercial banking, which was so rare. It was so, because I'm now leaping from that. That was fundamental to my upbringing, was that taking care and acknowledging, appreciating the customer. And so then when I started in commercial banking, now I had no formal education really. I had up to high school, and what ultimate had moved out of my family's house when I was 16, still finishing for 12th grade. And so that had some challenges in that. And so I worked in restaurants because I knew that so well. I could do that easy, and then a miracle happened. Some miracle happened where I was connected to someone who opened the door to a commercial bank called Imperial Bank. And they actually hired women, very few, but they actually hired them to do what? to go to companies and invite the presidents to bring their companies to Imperial Bank. Well, it was like a phenomenon that women were talking to presidents of companies about money, you know? So what ended up happening is that I didn't have any of the credentials, the education. I didn't even have the experience to do that job. However, it was such a miracle because Mr. Graziadillo, the president, now has a graduate school of management at Pepperdine in
Oh,
Malibu.
wow.
And so he's to this day, he was way advanced beyond anyone else in banking, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there were no rules. There were no, you know, they just said, well, go get them, kid. And you have 90 days. So let's just see what you can make of that. So the interesting part about that is I went to what I was familiar with. And then now fast forward to when I train people that are new to the profession, I pass on exactly what I did is go to where you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't know much about your profession and you talk to strangers, you get nervous. They might ask a question you can't answer. But whenever that happened to me, I knew so little, almost nothing, and then went to that little teeny school and stuff, is that when they ask the question, I go, wow, that's such a great question. We could learn
Mm-hmm.
together. I was really excited. And I was saying, I mean, because if I don't know there's a carburetor in a car, why would I ask what's a carburetor? So your question is helping me learn more about banking and things like that. So I adopted the care of the people as compared to the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Very different. And as a result of that, at 21 years old and all of the pushback that came from that, um, out of 125 people, I brought in more money past everybody but two people and was third
Wow.
in production. And so when they called me so that was sort of mid-year that kind of thing happened. And so, but when they called me in January, because there were so many, 1st of January, there were so many people that were saying she doesn't fit, she doesn't belong, she doesn't know anything about anything, and you just, got to get rid of her. Don't talk to her, and she'll go away. You'd be amazed all the pushback. But anyway, so when she called and said, you need to be sitting down, that's I totally panicked. I thought this was the moment I'm going to be fired. They were kind enough to not do it at Christmas time. And so I said, no, just tell me. She went, no, you need to be sitting. I said, stop it. Just spit it out. What? And she said, well, you finished third in production out of the 125 people. You bested all the boys and
Oh, wow.
every woman, all the boys except for two with $8.4 million. I honestly said, that's not possible. She went, yeah, we didn't think so either. So we counted 3 times. And
Wow.
it was true. And my life changed. And it was all about the care of the person, which I learned from my dad in the coffee shop. And
Mm-hmm.
so, because of that, people want to know that you understand them more than you need them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that becomes the primary message in business, because in business, the training people get is I have this transaction, go see a lot of people and get them to buy what you have. So
Mm-hmm.
they open up with, here's what I have. And this really would be really great for you. And how would they know that? They haven't even asked who they are. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So anyway, so I've been on a mission for a long time. I started practicing Buddhism when I was 24. I was introduced to that. And this particular Buddhism was originated out of Japan, and it was all about raising consciousness. Like our freedom, our wisdom, our fulfillment, all of it exists in the quality of our consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And
It
so
does.
they had terminology about any negativity you're introducing to your life condition will lower. So it
Yeah.
was so then I applied that to
Mm-hmm.
my business. And then at 27 became a consultant for banks, believe it or not, with the same, high school diploma.
Mm. But see,
Yeah.
what happens is that when the student is ready, the opportunity slash teacher will appear. So what
Yes.
happened is that even though you didn't have the traditional college degree, you had the enthusiasm and you had the wherewithal to bring what you had learned in your father's business
Yes.
to banking. So there are common things regardless of the area. If people have a level of compassion, consciousness, enthusiasm, and a vision, not just for the company, but for themselves, they can succeed. And that's what happened with you. Even though you did not have the formal academic training beyond high school, you had what it took. So opportunity met with your interest and your enthusiasm. And it was a marriage, and that's what happened.
Well, at the same time, also, the other part I believe completely that I think is the end of the bio is we all came here with a very specific mission to anchor God's presence and light on the earth, in spite of the all of the challenges happening on the earth. We're still here to do that, and we're still standing. And what I believe about Great Lives on the Rise, we really need these very people that have been. I don't even know when people say, "How are you?" I'm still standing. I have nothing more to say about that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I say if I have to announce my age or something, if this is requested or whatever, I say, well, first of all, the number is 7-4. Number two, make no mistake, I am not a senior citizen, in spite of the fact that number is 7-4. So take that out of your consciousnness immediately. I'm not going there. Because there's so much value that we can bring to the world. I was knocked out the moment I first heard about Great Lives on the Rise. I was floored when Linda Pitsolas shared with me that she had met you and what's about to happen. So I'm thrilled to be here for all kinds of reasons,
Well, I am so thrilled to have you here because we're about to talk about conscious living, quantum leaping, and just how people can transform their lives and take their vision to the next level, because a lot of times people put their fate in their lives in other people's hands because we've been conditioned to do that. The doctor, the lawyer, the whomever. Whereas they are co-pilots on our journey, but they do not have to be the sole person. They're not the guru. You know you better than I know you. So what we can do is have them assist us in areas that are not our forte, but then in terms of the overall picture, you need to be the master, everyone in the audience, of your ship. No one, but what we do is we relinquish control to people and make them into icons and godlike figures, and they would take that and run with it and really control your life. When in fact, they should be alongside you or in the back seat, because it is your life and you're driving the ship or the car or whatever metaphor I would like to use. So how did you segue from the technical background in banking to metaphysical topics and spirituality?
Wonderful question. And I was so grateful to have that be introduced to Buddhism. Buddhism is not really, this particular Buddhism is not really a religion. They called it a life philosophy. That's how they referred to it. And so, so with that, and then so I wouldn't say that I had the technical part of the commercial banking world. That would be like being a lender. Like actually, evaluating financial statements and spreadsheets and assessing, if someone is capable of the loan being paid back, that they're, so I didn't have that part. But see, those people that had that part, they had something in their consciousness. It was so interesting. And what was in their consciousness is, I cannot leave this planet with any loan with my name on it going bad. So as a result of that being the fundamental criteria to operate from, to be respected, was that don't make a bad loan. So when I started consulting the banks, I was saying stuff, they were so shocked because I was so people oriented. I was really aware when I would bring a customer into the bank how the loan officer is looking at them. you know? So then I'm consulting, that's now with board of directors, I would say. So if you want the bank to grow, here's a really good thing to take a look at, is that what I've been observing in your bank, and it'd be like 4 branches or 5 branches, so smaller stuff. But I would say is that the loan officer is looking at your potential new customer as a criminal, and it's a matter of time before you find out what is their crime. Because they don't want to be a bad loan, have a bad loan. Well, you know, Mr. Graziadio said at Imperial Bank, if you don't have a loan going bad, you're not making enough loans. So he removed that concept as a watermark to reach, do you know, like that. And so I never went into that lending part of it. I wasn't interested in that. I was interested. So that's where, when I became a consultant, I was of such high value to the banks, because I'm really good at going out and getting people, because I really am interested.
Yeah.
For real. Do you know what I mean? And then the other part that was interesting about that whole experience was that I also was so client sensitive, you could say, that I would then match them with others in the bank that would understand them. Not just somebody good at lending, because that mattered to me, everything, the contact and the relationship. And so that now matters more than ever now, because people are still getting training that humans represent transactions, so go get a lot of them. You know what I mean? So that's so, and the part about that's so I would say not as evolved as I would love to see it become, because that's what I've been working on the business side, is that if we're this is what I got from Reverend Shobo Sakata, who was a Buddhist priest. I dedicated the Quantum Living book to him, because I was moving money in these small banks and taking care of the clients. So that's actually was my profession. And these banks paid me a commission on a monthly basis of the money in the accounts as long as they were there. It was a wonderful way to make a living. And I had 19 banks to put all over LA. Super wonderful. But anyway, this particular bank in Beverly Hills, I had moved a company that had trust accounts are like insurance companies, and they're, you know, title insurance companies and escrow companies and that. So so law firms have trust accounts, because trust accounts are interest free, because they're entrusted with other people's money, so they don't earn interest on other people's money. So that was a very desired, you know. So then, because Imperial Bank was a real estate bank, I was talking to title companies, and escrow was so simple, wonderful. And so this particular one wanted to, because I would help them in their business and stuff, like a consultant to them. And then the bank would pay me. But anyway, so she opened up an account. I mean, I did it for her, but opened up an account for her. It was called Beverly Hills Escrow. And the first deposit was $5 million, you know. For a small bank, that's a really super big number, you know. Yeah. Anyway, and now 40 years later, I can't imagine what that number would relate to, you know, something serious, you know. But anyway, so then I get a call from the chairman of the board of the bank saying, could we meet? So we met, and he said, would you this is where that was in this book, why dedicated this very moment in time. He said, would you consider consulting to us? Why don't I still have my high school diploma? Barely. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I went consulting to what? He said, he said, you move that money so easily. There's something you know that we don't, and I'll pay you to understand what that is. And I said, well, what do you need a consultant for? And he said, well, we have a turnover problem. We don't know why people are leaving. And number 2, we have the money, that $5 million you brought in, somehow will go out the back door with other money, because we can't seem to hold on to the business that comes in. I started laughing. I went, no, I don't do that. I move money, I take care of the client, move the money here, and I take care of them. So that's what I do. So this part I have no education for, experience for, and I can't help you with that. And then he said, well, will you think about it over the weekend? Well, of course, I started laughing again, because on Monday, I don't have the same education I don't have on Friday. So I don't know what's to think about, you know. So
Yeah.
anyway, I said, I was polite. Sure, I'll think about it. I'm not going to think about it. That's just, but I was polite. But when I got in my car, I thought of Reverend Sakata. This matters everything about everything we're about to talk about, is what I learned from him that day. So I called him and said, is there, and it was perfect timing, God's timing, and it was
Yeah.
perfect timing. And I said, can I talk to you? I have I have a dilemma. So that I'm probably going to turn down, but I want to ask you first. So when I went in to meet him, we talked, he was generous 3 hours. Now, I don't know if you've ever had an experience of sitting in the presence of somebody quite enlightened, but the influence of that high consciousness is unbelievable. It's like affecting all the water in your body, everything. You're like, this him is crazy. It was so amazing. So I explained to him that I don't have the education or experience. And I'm probably going to tell them no, because that I can't accept money when I don't have. And he said it. Here's what he said, word for word, which is in the book. He said, it's not an educational matter. It's a human being matter.
Yes.
And here's the quote. At the core of every human being is an identity of contribution. Every human being must contribute themselves to something or someone to make something better or bigger. If for any reason a human being is prevented from using their life to making something better or bigger, they'll become listless, insecure, low self-esteem, and in fact will die. If you do nothing else in this bank but create arenas for all to contribute, the problems of the bank will be resolved. So that was over a 3 hour period of time. And it was, my life completely changed in that moment. And
And
then,
see
so,
what
and
happens though is that when we go into situations with preconceived ideas, we're blocking the flow from the universe, from the creator. So you had a preconceived idea that was undermining what you truly wanted. You didn't think that you were good enough. And a lot of times that's the energy that we bring to relationships or to life. And the universe has to give us that belief. It's not what we affirm with our mouths, it's that core belief. So after you did that, then you transitioned from banking after 21 years, and then you moved into after you had
yeah.
21
And so
years.
just to finish on the bank story, what happened, I did that. This is the point of this, is that, so I did that, started with the board of directors about contributing, and I challenged them in ways because they didn't really contribute. They weren't about that. They were takers, kind of arrogant, elitist people. And so anyway, but I said, if you want your stock to grow, here's how it'll grow. And then it had to restore their respect and appreciation for the frontline staff. Because when you have rich, elite people in the Beverly Hills area, I don't know now, I haven't been there in a while, it was at that time, tellers are servants, And so treating people in that way, then that's what, then it made sense why turnover. Then it made sense why money's going out the back door, because nobody likes it there. So anyway, and then what I noticed Reverend Sakata was so spot on about is that when I introduced to the tellers, in that case it was 4 branches, when I introduced the tellers to the concept to contribute to help the bank grow, some started to cry. No one ever spoke to them that they had any value. So the energy collectively raised in that bank so much that here's the result, is that the bank grew more than 3 times its size in 90 days ever in its history. In 90 days. So then in consulting and companies and things like that, the consulting process is to shift from, I need to get these deals for me, to who would I choose to serve and be of value to? And then money starts flowing. So we're not doing things against our nature, things like that. So then the other fast forward from there is that I was married in Colorado and ended up getting divorced, and some other things that happened that were traumatic. And I just didn't want to talk about it with anybody. So I asked God, this is so great. I love this. I love this moment of my life. It's another one way up there with Reverend Sakata. Is that I sold my house It didn't sell. I put it on the market, but then sold everything in it. And then asked God. People came and took it all, and it's all gone. And so I asked God, I'll go any place, anywhere, anytime where I can be of highest value. Because now from Reverend Sakata at 27, I'm now at that point 53, and I've been living in that being of value to, so I know the power of that. And the results are miraculous and come from divine sources and huge surprises and more than you're asking for. So I already trusted that. So, and then I wake up in the morning and it became very clear that God's direction was to move to Arizona. I have a question about that, God. I know you're busy and everything, but are you sure you want me to go where there's only cactus, cow skulls, desert, and death and no water? Is that really what you want for me? I must have misunderstood. So I did the exact same prayer the next night. And then as God is my witness, the exact same message came in very clear. I went, okay, that's my deal I made. You say I go. So apparently it's there. And then when I drive into Arizona, I'm on one of their highways and I go, excuse me, God, I know you're busy. We didn't talk about off ramps. So where am I to get off now that I'm in Arizona? But what happened in the blink of an eye, is that I was invited to this women's lunch, and it's a group that was helping support women in the financial world, and it was big nationally, but the regional. And so the president of that company said, you seem to be good at marketing. Would you be the speaker tomorrow? No, I don't do that. I'm still bottom of my game, financially and otherwise, right? So she said, but you seem to be good at marketing. Talk about that. In my head, I hear, you've lost everything. This is being offered. Pay attention. Okay. So then I don't sleep all night. I'm really super scared because I have nothing to say because I'm at bottom, So I, get up, and those 30 minutes, I don't even know what was said or anything. It was totally God's presence. And a woman comes, this is another enormous shift of my life, came up to me after and said, I've never heard anyone talk about what you did in a business setting. It was quite brilliant. Could we meet for breakfast? We meet for breakfast. And she said she's the national sales director of a company out of Michigan. And she said, if you develop what I heard you say in 30 minutes into a 2 or 3 hour seminar, I'll book you across this United States. And my sales team will spend full time booking you because they're over several states. So that means they're meeting people one at a time. But with that message, we can get 200 people in the room. So then now my salespeople are in front of 200 people. So it would be a support to my company's growth. And then that's what happened. I mean, I was amazed. I was absolutely amazed. And
so
then,
that's kind of like
yeah,
what you were saying in terms of the book with quantum. Let's segue into that in the remaining time that we have left.
oh yes, has this gone by so super fast? Sorry. Yes, here we
Yeah,
go.
so we have to segue into that. So
Yes.
quantum in the metaphysical world means it just happens. It's not something that's really laid out. It's not really linear. It's more energy focused. And so how did you move into that? Because I want people to get your contact information, but they need to get more information about this part of your life. Now,
Yes,
the
please.
quantum piece,
Yes.
how did that happen? How did you come up with the name for the book? How did you know what that was? You left banking, you had the experience of having quote unquote like a mentor at this bank who was a Buddhist, you became a Buddhist. So how did you then segue into because Buddhism is kind of esoteric too, but how did you segue more into the metaphysical quasi spiritual world?
So the 2020 happened. That's called lockdown. Happened in Denver. So all my business stopped cold because it was all in person. So for 2 years. And so then, I was inspired to drive. I was in Colorado because I got married and then divorced and stuff. But I got inspired to just drive to Arizona and see friends that I had here you know, when I lived here before, just to get out of the house for almost 2 years. And then when I see all these people, they're saying, just come home where you belong, you know. So I was invited to come. So I got things organized in Colorado to then move to Arizona and live with my friend Debbie and her husband. I didn't mean for it to be 2 years, but it was 2 years. So in that, because she said, you worked so hard, don't worry about anything. You have nothing to worry about. So that was peace of mind for me. So now I'm doing my morning meditation time and always asking God, where I'd be of highest value, you say I go. In that meditation, I get I hear Nikola Tesla and Einstein's quote at the same time. Basically, it's everything is energy. It's all there is to it. You know, it's not philosophy, it's physics. So it doesn't say quantum. The word hadn't come up, quantum. It was the energy. And I'm like, what's that everything mean, right? I mean, really want to know what's everything. What ended up happening then is I had this big aha one morning and went, oh my God, well, if everything's energy, then that means genius is a frequency, just like love is a frequency. That means every human on this planet has the potential to access the frequency of genius. That's huge. I have to get the word out. Then in the very next meditation time, I hear an impulse or receive an impulse that says, word for word, look up quantum realm. It's the first time I heard quantum, actually. And so I, immediately look up quantum realm. I go to Google, quantum realm. The very first name I see is the Mark Montgomery, who wrote a book called The Quantum Realm. Well, in the quantum realm, see, that's where quantum came from, is that, and then on top of it, because consciousness is guided, it's directed by intention. And then then reading Mark Montgomery's stuff, he says that intention is the nucleus of the quantum frequency that's connected to consciousness. So now I'm completely tripping out. And then that's where the book was born. And the part that about the book that's really super important is the number one issue is to understand that consciousness is a divine superpower that we don't even know is a superpower, and we don't really know what it is. So the book was written in absolutely simple, plain language to explain to people, first of all, let's put light on the lie. The biggest lie ever told is that we're little with no power. Now we're going to put that to rest now, because that was so that people that have come and heard about the book or considered it, that still feel that way, all that, it's actually become a guide on how to clean all that up. Because you know how you can clean it up? First of all, is to understand where's the negativity within us originating. Because it just like shows up and we don't know what to do with it. It's more like it's in charge. If we're not happy or fulfilled or something, then it then has opinions. Where's that coming from? So it's a very clear guide on where does negativity originate? How do you manage it? How do you retire it? Because it's a frequency. That's also, if everything's a frequency, an energy, frequency, vibration. So if that's true, then so is the negativity. But then what's the other part? God created mankind in his own image. Okay, well, that sounds pretty cool to me. So we have these, genius is a frequency. Love is a frequency. Value is a frequency. Harmony is a frequency. Creativity is a frequency. Compassion is a frequency. It's amazing who we are. And
let
so
me just,
let
me just interject something, because there's some people who may not be clear about what that means. So let me just explain it to everyone very, very succinctly. Frequency is an energetic feeling that you feel, everyone. So just like if you can go into a room and automatically know that someone doesn't like you. No matter how many people are smiling, you can feel it. That's energy. So frequency and energy are synonymous. So when you are thinking, every thought has energy and has a frequency. So as Darylle was explaining very well, is that when you think something, then you're setting up a certain kind of frequency. If you say that you will not be successful at a particular task. That's a frequency that's vibrating at a low level. And the universe has to honor that. And people say, well, why am I not successful? Because your belief and your words create a frequency, and the universe has to create a corresponding real situation. So that's what that is. So Darylle, let's get more into it because we only have a few minutes left. I want people to get your contact information and everything.
Yeah.
So you then came into the quantum arena, dealing with frequency, understanding it, and then you made it plausible for people, for everyday people, rather than it being very technical. So
that's exactly right.
So how did you do it?
Well, basically, because I learned that way. I didn't have the education or the experience or the support or anything. So I learned what I have learned in my life spiritually. And since Buddhism was the practice to learn about consciousness and stuff like that, turns out consciousness is where God's presence is. It's like connected to our soul and stuff like that. So then I just tapped into things that I learned from square one, zero, that nobody told me about and applied, and then the result. So every word, and then by the way, when sitting down writing the book, this was my prayer every time. I asked for God's presence to be in every letter, word, sentence, paragraph, and page. And when I knew that prayer was answered is right after the book was published, and for like 4 days, I went to a restaurant. The waitress saw the book, and because it has a unique, cover, and said, "What's that book?" And I said, "Oh, actually, I just finished it. It just got published 4 days ago." She went, "You wrote that?" And I said, "Well, not exactly. It was like inviting God to come in." And so the last words in the book is, "I'm not the one who," the Bob Dylan quote, "I'm not the one who wrote the song, I'm the one who wrote it down." And that's how I feel about that experience with this book. So it's plain language, but it's guided by divine love. I can promise you there's stuff in there that when I read it, I went, I didn't know. That's so cool. It's stuff I then started to learn. So it's very simple language because it's time for people to step into why we're here. And of all times is now. So then what I've also heard, this book, I haven't promoted or pitched it or anything. When I do a live events, I bring some people want, that, but it's actually spreading globally by word of mouth. Now that is super unique. And that's a God's hand in that, you see. So that's now happening. And so, but what I keep hearing, people do reach out and say, it's amazing. I was super depressed, but I got the book, someone referred me, and I just read 3 pages and I feel completely awake and like enlightened or something. And that's God's presence in the book. Like the waitress in the restaurant that I'd handed it to her, and she said, my body's flooding with chills. She didn't even open it up or look at it. So that's God. That's what told me that God's presence is actually in there. And I'm hearing people retiring because now they know what it is and how to do it, any negativity. And that's when their lives completely explode into goodness and graciousness. And
well, let's get your contact information. How can people get in touch with you?
So you could say my website is called quantumleadership.group.
Okay, and I tell people to spell out everything. People know how to spell, but just in case.
Okay, so quantum, QUAN, T as in Tom, UM, quantum, and then leadership, LEADERSHIP.group, because we're creating groups to spread this around the world. And so, because this is super important. So this is kind of us just share with you. If you go to that website, it just hit me. If you go to my website, because it's on Amazon, it's in 38 countries or something, so it's in a lot of places. But anyway, if you go to my website and order either a hardback, a paperback book, And I have 2 other books I'll show really quickly. But if you do that, then I will autograph it with a special note for you, because I'll get an intuitive hit about you that I can write a special note, and I'll send it to you myself. Or Amazon, like out of the country is Amazon. I offered that for someone in Australia, and it was like $55 to mail it to her. So I went, so this is the Quantum Living book, and it's just absolutely wonderful. People are saying that they're transforming their lives by reading this. That means God's presence is there. It's not my imagination, or isn't it? It was an answered prayer.
So with this, I'm sorry, with this book, it takes you out of linear mind and thinking. It makes you more intuitive. It makes you tap into those intuitive nudges. Sometimes people are getting them intuition or whatever, and they're dismissing them because they don't have hard facts to support this inner voice. But with Quantum Living, your wonderful book, what it's showing people is that once you release, relax, and let go, and allow the creator of the universe to come in, then you're going to make this quantum large non-linear jump. Like you did with your life. Things were just happening without you having to put effort into it. So when you do quantum living, you don't have to chase, you don't have to hustle, you don't have to do any of that. It's magnetized to you, everyone, because it's an energy, it's a frequency. When you raise your level of energy and frequency to get in alignment with God, Yahweh, the Most High, whatever name you call that being, that presence, things are just going to act, magnetize to you and come to you, because you're no longer blocking. You're good. And that's what your wonderful book does. Quantum Living shows you how to live, live a life of ease rather than a life of struggle, and rather than a life of doubt and worry.
Yes. Well, here's the difference. So the rational mind is coming from a place in the mind that looks for evidence before it decides what to do. Number one, it's super slow. And number two, everything in the world is moving super fast. And there's something called the flicker frequency that has to do with the mind's capacity to see pictures and make decisions. And it's 24 to 60 frames a second. It's super slow. Here's the other one. The difference is that the new information source that's coming from our awareness, that comes from intuition, you get a sense of information that comes in. Well, first of all, intuition has no speed limit. And number two difference is it doesn't get validated on the front end. It only gets proven it was correct after you've listened. So that's the difference between rational mind wants it up front, and it's hard to evaluate. And the other good piece about that, the rational mind doesn't really predict our future. Intuition does. Intuition makes it very clear, because every time we listen to intuition, this future unfolds we didn't even see coming. Because intuition in our soul always knows what we're here for, and the gifts that we were given to contribute to humanity.
It's not linear. You have another wonderful book for people who are able to let go of their linear thinking and become able to receive. So let's talk briefly about that one.
Okay, here's the receivability. This was done for my business clients, but now for, now a lot of people. And the same thing, if you buy this from my website, I will do an autograph and a special note and send it to you myself. And so what I learned in the business classes when we talked about goals is that people did a moaning sound, like, oh, they don't want to do it. Well, they didn't want to do it because they're not getting the goals they're setting. And what I realized is that what is the point of goals is to set a goal and to receive it. So when I looked up the word in the dictionary, receive, guess what receive means? It means to allow in. Now, what I learned is that that's why they're groaning and they're not getting their goals. They're setting goals that they're not allowing in. So this is 9 steps, also quantum, meaning the quantum is really the science of possibilities. Is really what that means. So that means that possibilities are unlimited. So everything is from that awareness, because we have that power to attract, as you had said. And so anyway, this is the book to clean up in 9 steps why you're not allowing in that which you want. So it's like a workbook too, as well as a book. And then just for extra fun people, I did make a pages available to take notes. People said it's too beautiful. I don't want to make it look bad. So that's when I created this. This is done by an artist, but it's the journey that goes with the book. And there's 100 pages. They're very beautiful, and every page has a inspiring quote on it. Every page, the 100 pages.
So people can get your books from Amazon?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And on Amazon, by the way, if you're not a reader, which a lot of people don't read so much anymore, there is an Audible, which I did. I recorded in the studio that was done professionally. And so it's really super good. And that happens, you know, that's in also a lot, it's like on Apple and it's on Spotify and things like that. But if you go to Darylle Virginia Dennis page on Amazon, if you do that, Darylle, Darylle, Virginia, Virginia, Dennis, while you're in Amazon, then all of that comes available to you so you can see it clearly. And then the Audible is one in there, and you buy it once and it's, you know, between you and whoever you buy it through, but you have it for life. So when you want to hear it again, sometimes people do both, you know, get the book and then the Audible while they're jogging, you know.
So my last question is, do you do workshops? Do you do private consultations?
Yes.
Do you have speaking engagements?
Yes. Yes, so I am invited to do public speaking engagements now. So that's happening. I do a lot of Zoom now because there's other countries involved in coming to the classes. I do classes every Thursday, and that's on the website, the new class every Thursday. And this one is about the magnificence of our divine connection. So that's the one coming Thursday, the 27th. And it's a small fee of $33. And so that supports the work to continue. And it's an hour and a half is the class, and everybody receives the videotape of the class. So you can review it if you choose it anyway. So yes, I do personal one-on-one coaching. I refer to myself as a quantum leap only because the people that I've worked with said, we meet one time and my whole life has quantum leaped and all this business is pouring in. Why? Because what the coaching is about is opening up that channel that attracts, that's judgment free. And then they get in their car and they haven't even left yet. And they're getting all these calls. That happens. There is actually a video, a brief montage of several people who have been coached on the website, quantumleadership.group, who are saying what happened. And they say things like, every time we meet, because when we raise our own kind of life condition to like joy and contribution to others, all kinds of things flow in without effort.
Yes.
And that's how we're designed to be. The only thing that prevents that is our own negativity. That's why this is a guide on how to understand where it's coming from and how to be in charge of it. So it would be like this. When you retire the negativity, it'd be like grandpa. It's a quick analogy. Saying to grandpa, Grandpa, we love you because we're here because of you. And we appreciate that because we wouldn't be if it wasn't for you. But we're taking your car keys away and selling your car because you're not driving anymore. Well, the part in the mind that is creating all the negativity is actually there for earlier reasons, you know, for our survival of the species. However, it's no longer needed. So what we're saying, thank you for your service, because God created that part also. But you're not in charge of driving our life anymore. That's when miracles happen, because miracles should be a new normal. And it is when we're not vibing negativity. That's all we got to do is this one thing, but it's you know, it takes practice. And that book is about how to do the practice. Yeah, it's a wonderful book. I can't say how much it changes people's lives. And I'm saying that because it was divinely written.
Yeah.
So I don't take credit. Like to the waitress, she said, "You wrote this?" I went, "Not exactly."
You were the vessel through which the information was
a vessel. I love that, a vessel.
transmitted. And that's why I tell people I'm the vessel. I'm very good at relaying information, but it's coming from a divine source. So you are the
Yes, that's
vessel.
almost word for word what I share. Same
Yeah.
thing. We got a
Yes.
lot in common, my friend, my new
Yes,
friend.
we yes,
Yeah.
we do. Yes, we do. Well, Daryl, we've come to the end of this wonderful, wonderful program. I so appreciated you. And everyone, go to Amazon or go to her website and get these wonderful books, 2 books, and then 1 journal. Will change your life. Change your life. If you're tired of being sick and tired,
Oh,
let's do something different.
that's a
Let's
good
try
one.
something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try something different. And your life will definitely shift.
Yes.
It would definitely shift. We're so honored to have had you, the
Thank you.
phenomenal Darylle Dennis. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
Thank you,
for
dear
exposing
Jamila. Thank
the
you for
book.
your mission, what you're doing. This is such a big deal, what you're
Yeah,
doing for the non-seniors. Because
yeah,
we're not seniors, my friend. I don't care what time they count, it starts, but not
I
in our
know.
mind.
I know. We are golden. That's what I call us. We are mature and
Yes,
golden.
golden anchor earth of light
Yes, we are
and
golden.
positivity. That's what we do. Yes. And
We are.
raise the next generation to freedom.
I love that.
Yeah.
On that note, my dear friend, we shall end. And everyone, thank you so much again for listening and tuning in to Gray Lives on the Rise.
Yay,
And,
great lives on the rise. I love that. Yes.
and make sure you go to our website of Yende Enterprises, OYINDE Enterprises, ENTERPRISES.com, or YendeEnterprises.com. And we have Jamila Sense, my aromatherapy company, Yende Institute. And the latest baby is Gray Lives on the Rise. Click on that and you'll get all the wonderful information that you need. And make sure that you tell others about our YouTube channel. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify audio, Spotify video. And we thank you for joining us. And
Yes.
until next time, beloveds, be safe. Enjoy this gift called life and stay in the present and be well.
Beautiful. Thank you, dear one, so much.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Gray Lives on the Rise, being brought to you by Jamila Sense, which is the product line of Oyende Enterprises. Jamila Sense is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Gray Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.